So I have two actually. The meat scene.
Uh-oh, let's hear it.
So the first is this. When I first saw this movie, this was the initial WTF moment for me. So at the time, I was a vegetarian. I was a vegetarian for 7 years. So seeing all that rawish meat on screen made me almost puke. And then the second comment is during the one of the documentaries or the commentaries, they talked about how it was 120 degrees outside in that scene, and they had to recook the meat every time, and how disgusting it was. No joke, I knew that scene was coming, and I still barfed in my mouth a little bit.
She wrote during their commentary, she said that someone had an epileptic fit by eating meat.
Jeez. Yeah. It sets this movie up. Like it's disturbing and funny and weird, and you know from the outset you're gonna be along for a ride.
Yeah, and so he gets sent out to the mountains to a way station where people come through to stay before, like, the military comes through and other people come through to go to California out west, correct? Like up in the mountains?
Yeah. This is the go to the cabin in the woods in typical trope, except it's a fortification in the mountains.
And it has, of course, a skeleton crew.
Of misfits.
Yeah, of absolute I gotta tell you, for all the introductions, I love. Do you want to talk about the characters in this movie? As opposed, like, I love Neil McDonough's introduction in this movie. He's the soldier and Colonel Hart. Oh no, I'm sorry, Reich, and he's just in the cold water screaming.
It's so good. That was I believe that was in the trailer that played on TV, and I was always like, what is this guy doing? He's such a badass.
And they probably showed exactly how much they shot too, right?
Yeah, it was probably freezing, and he's like, I don't want to be in here. I'm going to Super Saiyan this.
Man, I just love that scene. And then I also really liked Jeremy Davies. I don't think I've ever disliked him, actually, in a movie. I loved his character in this as well. He yells the classic line that you messaged me about. What's that great line he says?
He was licking me!
I mean, that's Toffler. That's a great line, isn't it?
It's the best line in the film, I think. There's a lot of really good ones, but that's the most memorable because it is so insane.
And then Jeremy Davies has, Robert Carlyle has blood on his lip. Like, he's totally guilty. I think my favorite line in this movie is breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and 3 people are coming up.
Oh, breakfast, lunch, and reinforcements.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, breakfast, lunch, and reinforcements.
Yeah, and there's also the really good one where Colonel Hart is like, how civilized, as he's eating a stew of human.
Yeah.
But before I forget, I wanted to ask you this question.
Oh, let's hear it.
What is the most iconic quote from a cannibal movie?
The most iconic?
Your personal favorite. We'll go with that.
Oh, geez Louise. Man. So, cannibal. It's got to be Silence of the Lambs.
I guess that counts, yeah. It is a cannibal movie.
I ate his liver with some Chianti and, what was it? And fava beans.
Fava beans.
I know that's a super basic answer, but you'd have to put that at number 1, right?
I think so. I think my favorite, though, is going to come out of left field, and it is, I know what babies taste like.
What's that from?
Snowpiercer.
Oh, yeah.
I love that line, because it's just like, I don't know what's happening in this movie, and I'm so down.
I love that movie. Entranced me. Oh, jeez Louise. No,
they're trying to make a TV show.
Oh, yeah, with Jennifer Connelly in it.
Mm-hmm.
She's done some good sci-fi.
The Hulk.
Yeah. Well, Rocketeer. Is Rocketeer science fiction?
Yeah, we'll count that one. It's definitely Mystery Man.
Yeah. She's Labyrinth is fantasy, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, she has a pretty good resume. I don't know. I'll give it a chance. Baby eating. Jeez Louise. And then there's what? I don't think there's any good lines in Green Inferno.
I haven't seen that one, actually. I'm usually hit or miss with that director.
I can't think of any about Cannibal Holocaust. Can't really do that. They eat people in Bone Tomahawk, right? The troglodytes.
They do.
So I do love the bit when they're talking about reading in the bathtub. I think that's probably that's got to be fava beans, right? Does he say anything sassy when he's eating Ray Liotta's brain in Hannibal?
I haven't seen that movie in so long. He definitely just says something as he's cooking it up with Ray Liotta just sitting there glossy-eyed.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, some screenwriter would have written that and be like, $1 million, this is why you pay me.
Or is eating his brain. He's like, you're losing your mind. Oh, man. Now, we'll save this for another pod, but I want to do moments that I would retire on. Because there's some moments in movies that if I wrote, I'd just retire and never work again. Because they're so good. Like the mustache moment from Hot Fuzz. But I digress. I guess getting back here, David Arquette is Cleves.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like a little drug-addled guy who just laughs the whole time and can't remember lists.
Yeah. From my understanding, he was big at this point, right? Like he was either big or on the cusp of being big.
Well, I mean,
because when did Scream come out?
96.
So this was 98?
Yeah, so he had Scream, 99. So he had Scream, and he had Scream 2 under his belt, and Airheads, and then he hadn't headlined Eight-Legged Freaks yet. So, let's see, Scream 3 came out when I was about 7. I think Scream 3 came out in maybe 99? So maybe Ravenous, and this came out in 99, and then Eight-Legged Freaks was what, 2001?
Yes.
Yeah,
so he was big. Like he was. This is probably the height of his career.
Yeah, and I know a lot of actors wasted time on this film to all the reshoots. So they lost days with him. Didn't they say that on the commentary? They only had him for several days?
They had him for, I think, 8 or 9 days, yeah. And the director on the commentary said that they had him on screen as much as possible in that time period.
She really liked him, and that made me happy.
Yeah. Again, you're slowly turning into the Arquette cast.
Yeah, and I also love that the Damien from Blur and Gorillaz is talking to Antonia on the commentary, and he's like, "Yeah, my mom didn't like this movie." He was pretty brutal to her, wasn't he? Like he was very honest on this thing.
Yeah. Let's keep going down the actors, because there was Jeffrey Jones who I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
and he played Colonel Hart.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Before doing research for this, I was really into him, and I found out during my research that he's a sex offender. Yep. So I didn't know that, but I had fond memories of him from several movies I was younger, including this movie called Stay Tuned, where people get sucked into the TV and they have to fight their way back out through different channels.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's Ritter. Ritter's in it. It's weird. It's really weird. I don't know if you would want to do a podcast on it, but I would highly recommend at least skimming it.
And he's a Burton acolyte too. Tim Burton.
He is. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Beetlejuice. But I was just sort of saddened. I was like, I can't believe I missed this and didn't know this. It explains why he disappeared for like a decade.
Yeah, I listened to the commentary with him and the director, and it's a little rough to listen to because you know the guy and what he kind of got into, which was crazy. But I did like the director, his commentary with the writer, because the writer's just the classic writer that's gotten his butt kicked a lot. And did you listen to that commentary?
No, I listened to the music one. That was the big one I took notes on.
So Ted Griffin, he ended up writing like Ocean's 11, Matchstick Men. He also did the show Terriers, which I liked a lot. But he was just complaining a lot. He's just self-loathing. He wrote this script on spec. So he just wrote it for free. He met a guy. Then the guy met another guy. Then they went into production really quick on this. So he actually got really lucky for the making of this movie. But he said he was on set just rewriting everything because the thing changed so much. And then the weather changed. And in the original script, the people were so powerful that they were jumping from tree to tree. So at the end, Boyd and Ives, Guy Pearce and Carlisle are tree jumping, which is
pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then El Nino hit, and it became green, and then it became no more snow, and then eventually he just took off, and he just was like, "I'm done." And he's like, "I'll let Antonia write the rest," and he just went back home because he said he had a girlfriend. He was tired of staying there.
I mean, it has to be really hard to come up with a concept, to write the concept, and then see it change so drastically from your finished product to someone else's finished product.
And he kept saying, "Oh, it didn't snow that day, so I had to rewrite the script. Oh, in this scene I had this. Oh, this is the scene where I had that. Oh, in this scene I had this character. Oh, there's a much bigger action scene here." And he just talked about how many cuts were made. And Jeffrey Jones is like, just talking about, well, I liked being back in Prague. He's like, I liked working in the city. It was Prague. He's like, I liked work. I think I'm not quite sure.
It was outside of Prague. Yeah. It's like 40 miles or something.
He was like, I was happy to be there. He's like, that's what we put up with. And so this writer is just complaining the whole time. And then Jeffrey Jones is just trying to make it not seem like a self-loathing commentary. was a pretty funny mixture of guys. But I love Ted Griffin and just talking about all the rewrites that he had to go to. But once again, I think it made a movie that is still very watchable. And it's in and out in, no time? 90 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, it's definitely 90 minutes, and it's a fast pace. Like, it doesn't, like, once it starts, like, it goes.
And I love some of the, you get to the place, you meet everybody. I love that they steal that drunk guy's bourbon, Knox. You're like, is he going to be mad? Probably.
But he's drunk.
And then I kind of loved Robert Carlyle's introduction. I thought that was a pretty cool scene. He was frostbitten all the heck, right? And then he healed up really fast.
Yeah.
And then
can we talk about? So it's Ives / Calhoun, right?
Yeah.
So I don't understand his plan in some way. Like, does his plan make sense to come to the fort, drag everyone away back to the cave, kill them, except for one person? I get lost, and I'm like, does this actually make sense, or is his plan just batshit?
So does he only get power when he eats? He doesn't only get power when he eats people in the cave, correct?
No, he gets power from eating people, period.
So he technically could have maybe stayed there and just hunted the strong first, right?
Yeah. I mean, my interpretation of this is that he was so powerful that he could have probably strolled into the fort and just taken everyone out easily.
Did he? Yeah. Do you think he could have? He did that to separate everyone. So if people did escape, they were. Does that make sense?
Maybe. So what I think happened, and I'm not entirely sure, is that he wanted more cannibals, and so he took people out into the woods in order to injure them and then feed them the bodies of people that they were with. So he turned Colonel Hart into a cannibal, and that was his whole goal. It's like, we're first gonna get one other person, and then we'll go back and clean up the rest of the fort. Got it.
And so, I mean, I guess that's good. And he sends the warrior down. I love when he starts chasing Jeremy Davies. So he said that there's one take that they had where he caught up to Jeremy Davies and he had this knife that retracted and he was just stabbing Jeremy Davies in the butt with a knife. And then they had to cut it because it was too comical. And Jeremy was just screaming. And then people complained. Remember when they said that people complained about Jeremy Davies not firing? Because this was released right after Saving Private Ryan. So people were wondering, why do you have him doing the same thing in both movies? But this was way before Private Ryan doing all this stuff going on. But I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then
so we're on that scene.
Yeah.
That scene where to catch everyone up. So Ives Calhoun completely changes into the full cannibal mode.
Yeah.
And that's another classic line when he goes, "Run."
And the music plays.
Yeah, and I feel like this is the only time in the film where the music is just out of sync. Because there's like a 30-second period where they're playing this really upbeat music, and it doesn't match what's happening on screen because Ives Calhoun is chasing Davies, and he's going to kill him. Listening to the commentary really put that scene into perspective because the music is in the point of view of Ives and Calhoun, who thinks this is all a game. He's like, I could clearly kill everyone here if I wanted to. So Damien wanted to have this idea that, the music should match his jovial, jaunty idea of having a game of running through the woods to kill and eat someone.
And I love it. The score took you out of the moment. I just was thrilled by it.
It's only the very beginning because it starts off really fast. About 30 seconds in, it changes to be more tense, and I'm back in the ride. It's just funny that even the person who wrote it was like, yeah, this is a tangent. he just said it. I was like, all right, well, at least you know it. But I should give it props, right? Because they tried something completely different. Like, have you ever heard of another movie that would even attempt that?
No.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this movie's so amazing.
And I have another interesting thing. Someone brought up that, so you have Neil McDonough and Guy Pearce going into the cave because there might be some survivors because, Robert Carlyle's wagon train was eaten by some evil guy named Colonel Ives. McDonough and Guy Pearce go into the belly of the cave. So someone was wondering if they went into its mouth and then they went down into its belly where they found all the things hanging.
Oh, that's good symbolism. I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's really cool.
I think it was wrecked when the writer went, yeah, I didn't mean that.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, you could not mean that, but it really matters on how the audience interprets it.
I mean, that's a cool interpretation, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I love that. And then also, I was kind of bummed how George, played by Joseph Running Fox, went down. He kind of went down like some chump change. And he axed